Alright guys, welcome to the very inconsistent installment of Chicana Boxing Podcast. Now, as most of you do know, if you follow me on Twitter or Instagram, you know that I did go on a vacation to the Dominican Republic. So I just got back, and that's why I haven't produced any content whatsoever for the website or for any of my social medias. But bitch, like Eminem said, I'm back, okay? And I do have the windows open, so if you hear birds, if you hear people walking by, if you hear the cops, because I do live in the ghetto, if you hear any of that, just, you know, don't mind that, okay? It's hot in my house and I need these windows open because I can't afford AC. Alright, so let's get started with basically, I'm not going to sit here and talk like I watched all of the fights while I was gone, because I didn't. But I did catch up on some of this weekend's fights, so let's catch up just basically on the most important ones. And of course, it's everybody's different opinion on which ones were the most important ones, but I'm just gonna talk about the ones that I saw. And if you guys want to fill me in on the rest of them that I didn't watch, you can go ahead and do so, because I missed a whole lot while I was gone, okay? So let's start off with rising welterweight star and prospect, Brian Cevallo. Now, Brian Cevallo I'm familiar with because of 360 Promotions. He was, I believe his debut was on Hollywood Fight Nights here at the Avalon in Hollywood. So that's why I'm familiar with him. He's also actually been on numerous Triple G undercards as well. I believe he was also in the undercard for Triple G Vanes. So I've been definitely keeping up with him, and he impressed me this weekend in his fight, because honestly, I was expecting a bigger challenge for him because his opponent was undefeated. So I was expecting, you know, more of a toe-to-toe competitive action. And though they did have their toe-to-toe moments, Cevallo was actually controlling with the jab. He was actually outboxing his opponent, which name I cannot pronounce and I don't want to fuck it up, so I'm not gonna say it. But he actually looked very impressive. He looks very much to be on his way to actually get a little bit more exposure, hopefully, especially in the welterweight division, which is a stacked division, but we don't hear much of, you know, impressive really prospects in that division. So it was nice to see that he has actually developed so well from seeing him in his debut, and I'm definitely going to be keeping an eye out on him, especially after this. Now let's move on to Triple G. Now Triple G, when he first sent out his DAZN debut and his opponent, a lot of us were shocked about the opponent of choice. However, the way we saw it was Canelo had his DAZN debut against someone like Rocky Fielding, so I guess we'll let it slide for Triple G to have his DAZN debut with someone like Steve Rolls. Now, Steve Rolls was previously undefeated, as we all know, but we all had an idea that Triple G would come back to be his monstrous self prior to his back-to-back fights with Canelo Alvarez, and we were not disappointed. Though I'm pretty sure we all saw that, you know, people online, people on Twitter, they were like, oh well, Triple G looks old. He looked much older. He looked like he aged overnight. He was getting tagged a lot by Steve Rolls. I think it was a second round, which I remember that Steve Rolls, some people actually gave Steve Rolls that round because he was landing the better punches on Triple G. However, I think we do get distracted sometimes about that, because the more accurate puncher, it was Triple G throughout throughout the fight. While the fight lasted, Triple G was connecting the better shot. Triple G was being the most accurate one. But that second round did look impressive for Rolls, as he was landing some pretty massive shots against Triple G. And because of that, people were saying that he's actually on the downfall now after the two Canelo fights. However, what I do want to bring up and kind of point out is that Golovkin is kind of known for doing that, for letting his opponents, which powers he doesn't respect, do that to him. We've seen this against Monroe. We saw this against Vanes. You know, Vanes, I think on the first round, caught Triple G with some like pretty good punches, and he does that. You know, Gale actually landed like a really good shot on Golovkin right before Golovkin knocked him down. So these are things Triple G has been doing in his fights. He lets guys basically punch him, and he just takes it and he brings some of his own. So how much people were talking about that, about how Rolls connected on Triple G, I noticed that too, obviously, but it wasn't much of my concern. I didn't think anything of it because, like I said, we've seen Triple G in the past do this several times with his opponents, Monroe, Vanes, Wade, and Gale. Like, we've seen him let the fighters basically punch him. So I'm not too worried about that. Now, what I did notice now on the Jonathan Banks is that we did see Golovkin going more to the body. I did see Golovkin hitting the body of Rolls, which I thought was pretty nice for a change, to see Golovkin hit the body and not just be headhunting. However, I do wish and I hope Jonathan Banks just teaches Triple G to move his fucking head, because I don't know if I did say it in the last podcast I did or not, but that's what Triple G needs. You know, there was a bunch of commotion and a bunch of just discussion and speculation about who would be Triple G's trainer after he left Abel Sanchez. So what I just want is, you know, please just move your head, my dude. I was just hoping that Triple G would be jabbing more like he did against Lemieux. I think Triple G has a very nice jab, very beautiful jab, and I was kind of expecting to see it against Rolls, to be kind of keeping his distance and rolling off the punches. So I was happy with Jonathan Banks teaching him to go to the body, but I was kind of hoping he'd tell him, like, move your fucking head. But while most people are saying that Triple G is getting old and he's actually, he's old basically, I think I want to give him the benefit of the doubt just for this match and be like, I think he's adjusting to a new trainer in Jonathan Banks. He's adjusting and he's trying to learn in certain methods from Jonathan Banks. So I want to give him the benefit of the doubt and think that it's time for, it was the fight for him to be able to adjust to a new style. I think I even saw him trying to go southpaw in this fight. I'm pretty sure I saw that. I don't know, guys, I've been taking a lot of medication before. I think from what I saw, he was trying to go southpaw for a couple of moments here and there. So that's what I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt, that he's going to try new things, and then let's see what goes on. Also, I did miss his post-fight interviews. Man, Triple G's post-fight interviews are the fucking best. They're the funniest things. I miss him speaking English. And, you know, I'm not an asshole. I'm not one to be like, well, if you're popular in the US and you gotta speak English, what? No, that's not, like, I don't care about that. But I think Triple G is so charismatic and is so fan-friendly, and his chopped up English is what makes him such a character. You know, everything he says is basically turned into a catchphrase, and it makes us feel like pretty fun, pretty warm inside when we hear him talk post-fight. So I did miss those. I missed the bows after a knockout, so I was very happy with those. But there was a lot of discussion, obviously, about Triple G fighting Canelo next, you know, a third Canelo fight. And while I do like that, I would like to see a third Canelo fight. I saw Oscar De La Hoya's response to that, and I was just like, yikes. You know, he basically said, good job on your win. Something about good job on your win. Do it with a real opponent next time, which I thought was disrespectful, because I'm not one to call anybody who laces them up a bum or a fake opponent or whatever. Yes, of course, there's opponents that are meant to lose or are there to lose, to make the other fighter look good, but by no means do I like calling them bums or disrespecting him. Obviously, Oscar did not call the guy a bum, but he said, now do it with a real opponent and get a belt first, which I thought was a little bit of a reach from Oscar too, simply because if we do recall, Canelo gave up his belt to not fight Triple G, and of course it was because he didn't want to negotiate in such little time, because the WBC was giving him 15 days. I believe it was the WBC, right? That was giving him 15 days to basically make all the negotiations to fight Triple G next after Cotto, and he's like, yeah, no, here's the belt. So I do, of course, I don't know how to explain this shit, but yeah, it's a little ridiculous for Oscar to be mentioning belts when up until, you know, last year, Canelo was all not about the belts. He was about fighting for honor and glory and Mexican pride. You know, it was not about the belts. Of course, as I mentioned, if you haven't seen my questions with Canelo, you can head up to my YouTube and check those out. But when I asked Canelo about the belts, he said now Eddie wants him to become undisputed in the middleweight division because that's how making history works. That's a part of making history. So that's why he's going to try to go for the belts now. But I do think it was a little ridiculous for Oscar to make that tweet and be very dismissive of Triple G's basically request or desire for that third Canelo fight. And I just thought it was a little bit of bad taste, but maybe it's just to sell the fight. You know, it might happen. Triple G signed to the Zone, I'm pretty sure, to facilitate a third fight with Canelo, and both of the first two fights are very close, controversial even, so I would like a third fight just to, I guess, just settle it. Like, third fight, okay, give it your all and settle it. But as much as, again, as much as I would like to see a third fight with Triple G, I think Canelo right now, his career is so intriguing, with so many different opportunities of opponents he can take that can be career changing and better for his career as well than the third fight with Triple G. Again, I have nothing against the third fight with Triple G, so don't come at me. But I think, I mean, Caleb Smith at 168 would be a fucking amazing. I would love to see that. I think that would be a really good test for Canelo because, you know, Caleb Smith is not fucking Rocky Fielding. He's an actual legit super middleweight, you know, fighter. He's a champion. That's a legit champion, a legit opponent. So I would love to see Canelo take on him and see how he does. I think that would make Canelo go up in the pound for pound list because, you know, Canelo Smith is a real fucking opponent. And I would love just to see another UK versus Mexico bout. You know, that would be pretty freaking awesome. And I don't think Canelo's ever fought in England or over there in the UK. That would be pretty great just for ticket sales and shit like that. So that would be amazing. Even a fight with Boo Boo Andrade. I know this fight is the least popular because because Canelo just came back from fighting someone technical in Daniel Jacobs, which a lot of people were like, oh, that was a boring fight. And this is gonna be even worse in style. You know, styles make fights, and this style is not very pleasing to the fans because it's most likely gonna be Canelo trying to cut off the ring or trying to chase after Boo Boo Andrade. And as much as I would like a unification and for Canelo to be undisputed and then maybe fight Triple G and then, you know, for all the belts again, that would be great. But as much as I would like that fight, it's not very fan pleasing. It is not very good for marketing, really, and it's not really good for Canelo either to fight those two styles back to back. It's like social suicide. So as much as intriguing and as much as rewards that fight would bring in terms of the belts if he were to win, it's not really a fight that would please the fans. So, but I still would like, that's a cool fight I'd like to see. Even against the Charlo, we know Charlo didn't look as good as most people expected in his last fight. So I would love to see Canelo against a Charlo, even more now, you know, even though now that they saw his performance in his last fight. So that would be a great fight as well. So Canelo has all these options, you know, to fight, to move up, to, you know, unify, become undisputed. So if he has that chance to become disputed in the Zone or, you know, go up in the Zone too, I don't see how a fight with Triple G could top that, other than just give the fans what they want in the way that let's just settle it. But will I be there in September, wherever it is that Canelo, if he fights Triple G? Yes, I would love to see that. So I know I just said all this shit, but I would love to see it anyway. So this DAZN shit is getting real. I would love to see it. Okay? Alright. Another fighter who made his return to the ring this past Saturday on Top Rank on ESPN was WBO featherweight champion Oscar Valdez. Now Valdez has been basically fighting contenders since he fought Scott Quigg and got his broken jaw, and that basically set him back a little bit, but he's been taking on nice opposition. Is not guys that he's just supposed to steamroll over. It's guys with not that many defeats. I believe his last opponent, Jason Sanchez, only had 1 defeat, if I'm not mistaken. And these are rugged fights that come to fight, and they're not just gonna let Valdez just basically step all over them, but he did regardless. Even though it was a unanimous decision and not a knockout, Oscar Valdez basically took care of Sanchez, had him hurt, dropped him in the 5th, I believe, and the last 10 seconds of that fight, he went basically ham on Sanchez against the ropes. It was a really good showcasing for Oscar Valdez, and I love his style. I think Valdez is a really good name in that featherweight division. I would love to see him now against actual champions. He already had his 2 tune-up fights prior to, again, his broken jaw incident since his Scott Quigg fight. So I would love to see him against top opposition. A lot of people say that fight took a lot out of him, that even though he defeated Scott Quigg, who came in at 142 on fight night, a lot of people say that took a lot out of him. In my opinion, I think it's the opposite way. That works the opposite way for Mexicans, you see, because now that Oscar Valdez proved that he could endure such a fight, such a grueling fight against Scott Quigg, a much bigger guy who broke his jaw, and he went on to fight 6 more rounds with a broken jaw. I do believe that what else can you throw at him? I would love to see him fight Santa Cruz, even though we know that because of promotional companies that most likely won't happen. But I would love to see him against Warrington. Warrington fights this weekend. I would love for them to fight soon. Warrington fights this weekend, right? And Fury's undercard, if I'm not mistaken. So I would love to see Valdez against Warrington. Warrington is obviously the champion from the UK. He beat Frampton. I wanted to see Frampton versus Valdez, and I know that back when Oscar Valdez was with Coach Manny Robles, they were in talks of preparing for a fight against Carl Frampton. However, obviously he's not with Manny Robles anymore, so I don't know what their plan is now, but I would love to see him against Warrington. Again, another Mexico versus UK fight. It's a unification. I would love to see that shit. I would go like this. Alright? Alright. This weekend on Saturday, we also have the return of Tyson Fury, only now with Top Rank. And he's going to be fighting Tom Schwartz, who is an undefeated German heavyweight, who is, supposed to give Tyson Fury an okay match, but I think we all are hopeful and are expecting Fury to rise victorious because he will be facing Deontay Wilder again after Wilder fights Ortiz. I'm sorry. And of course, Fury says he's not looking past his opponent in Tom Schwartz, but I think we kind of all are, because we want him to be fighting top opposition, because a lot of people see him as one of the top heavyweights, if not the top heavyweight of the world right now. So for him to be taking opposition that he is right now, even though again he's undefeated, Tom Schwartz is undefeated, I think we all have the fights that we want to see. And given what happened with Andy Ruiz and Joshua a couple weeks ago, I think we don't know what to expect from the heavyweight division anymore, or the changes that can happen in the heavyweight division. Now again, Wilder is going to be fighting King Kong Ortiz next, and he's going to be fighting Fury after that. So even though we wanted the Joshua Wilder fight so bad, or any of them fighting each other, it seems like they're fighting other people, and it's kind of annoying. But Lord. But hey, like, the outcomes are good. There was so many people like Stephen A. Smith going off, being stupid online, talking about how Andy Reese and the promotional companies ruined it for, you know, Joshua and Wilder, because that fight should have been done. And I agree in a way that that fight shouldn't have been marinated as long as it should have been. But that's no one's fault. That's not Andy Reese shouldn't suffer for that. His shine shouldn't be taken away just because we all wanted the Wilder. You know, it happened, and it's not like he just defeated Wilder. I mean, it's not like he just defeated like Joshua like nothing. He like took him out in 6-7 rounds. So it's like, that's amazing. I'd give it up just, you know, for that amazing victory. However, I think I speak for myself and only myself, and this isn't a very unpopular opinion, but I don't think that Wilder versus Joshua lost its worth. I guess people say in the money terms, like they're not going to make as much money anymore. But, I mean, I still want to see it, even if Joshua has a defeat. I'm not one to, like, really give a fuck about undefeated records. I mean, it is a heavyweight division, goddammit. Like, people are going to be getting floored, and people are going to lose when you least expect it. And that's what should make the heavyweight division, and I guess any other division, entertaining. The fact that they're facing opposition that could definitely derail our plans, like keep us on the edge of our seats that way. So I don't see anything wrong with it. I'm pretty sure that you know, Joshua would get his moment back, not just if he in the rematch, if he defeats if he defeats Ruiz, you know, he can just say like, I had an off night, and they'd be like, okay. You know, but if he were to come back, defeat Reese, and then take a fight with Wilder, and defeat Wilder, that would be a fucking amazing ass comeback. You know what I mean? Like, that would be awesome. That would be, you know, historic in a way even. You know, and I'm pretty sure that now the Joshua fans would back him up even more. Now, the Wilder fans, let's say Wilder were to fight Joshua after defeating... if he defeats King Kong again, and if he defeats Fury for the first time, let's say instead of fighting, let's say, I'm getting fucked up here. Let's say Joshua defeats Reese and he gets his belts back. And let's say, you know, Wilder goes through both of his opponents as well. Let's say they both meet and you know, I'm pretty sure Wilder still wants to like decapitate Joshua. And I'm pretty sure Wilder's fans would love that shit. It's all about bragging rights, in my opinion. Imagine, I'm pretty sure lost, you know, obviously Joshua lost to Ruiz, but I'm pretty sure Wilder wants to beat him even worse, right? And I'm pretty sure no one's gonna say like, nah, I wouldn't watch that. I would watch that. I think most of the people that are preoccupied with, you know, it not being as hyped and they're talking about money, and I don't care about how much money they make or whatever, but I still think it's a really good matchup. But again, given from everybody talking about badly about how much they wanted this fight, like it can't happen anymore, it's just me. I don't know. I still want to see it, and I would still love to see it, especially if, let's say, Wilder loses to Fury this time. Let's say he can't throw Fury, and let's say Fury keeps getting up and it's not a draw anymore. Then now they both have one loss in their record, and it's even more of a reason to make it, because it's like, okay, we both have one loss, but let's go at each other, you know? But again, that's just me. Now moving on to some women's boxing news, we do have Claressa Shields making her hometown debut on August 17 on Showtime. She will be having a shot to become a 3-divisional world champion, or 3-division world champion, right? Same shit, right? Against Ivana, and let me try to pronounce her last name, Ivana Habazin from Croatia. Now, if you know Ivana, she actually is the one who lost to Cecilia Braekhus for, you know, basically all the titles that Cecilia Braekhus has. But she is a really good, she's a former world champion, so this is a really nice test for Claressa. I believe she has only 3 losses, 20 wins, 3 losses, I believe. And it's a great chance for Claressa to not only make more history by becoming a 3-division world champ, but also defeating someone that, if you're a boxing fan, you should know who this person is. You know, I know people don't really like Claressa Shields because of the shit she says online, and she's been saying some really questionable shit sometimes, but as much as you may dislike her personality or personally or outside of the ring, you have to admit that she is making history inside of the ring, and she is taking care of people with only, you know, how many fights does Claressa have? Like 9, 10? So let's give her props where the props are due, you know? So besides the vacant WBO super welterweight belt, of course the WBC is gonna just throw their diamond belt or something like that to the match as well. So this is for both the vacant WBO and the vacant diamond title from the WBC. And of course, speaking of the WBC, they're actually going to be making a belt for Amir Khan's next fight, which will be in Saudi Arabia. Amir Khan's facing an Indian contender. I don't know how to pronounce his name either, so I do not want to butcher it, but I will put it somewhere on the screen. And this guy has 11 wins, I believe, and like 3 losses, but he's apparently popular in India, and they will be having a fight coming up in July 17th, I believe. Let me check that. July 12th. The fight will be on July 12th. And of course, the WBC is making a pearl belt. And this is not really a sanctioned belt. It's mostly like a one-off belt, kind of like the money, what was it, the money belt with Mayweather and McGregor? Yeah, like that. Just basically a participation trophy. And this pearl belt is going to be given to the winner, whether it be Amir Khan or whether it be this Indian contender fellow. And you know, am I surprised? No. Will the WBC continue to make belts for participation and, you know, claim it as something historical? Yeah, that's what they will continue to do. Alright, so other than that, that's pretty much it. So let's see what happens. Let's see what's going on with the boxing world coming up, and let me know your predictions and your thoughts in the comment section of who do you think is going to win versus Tyson Fury and Tom Schwartz. If you think it's going to be another Joshua Ruiz, let me know what you think of Ruiz becoming, you know, an overnight celebrity and living the dream, going to Jimmy in the Jimmy Kimmel show. He's going to Mexico. He went to Mexico and he's doing a bunch of cool shit. So props to Andy Ruiz for becoming the first Mexican champion. And to those people who are questioning his nationality, just shut the hell up. Okay? Shut the hell up. So yeah, guys, this was Chicken Boxing, and this is my first video podcast. Well, not my first one, but the first one I will be doing continuously. Check me on that. And it was a little bit awkward, but it'll get better, I promise. Okay, so I'll see you guys soon, and don't forget to follow me across all social networks.